So thank you, Mr. Manoj, Mr. Tarun, Mr. Manoj, for taking out your time. Um, Again, I'll say again, this is, I think, the first panel discussion. This is the first panel discussion I'm moderating again after a long time physically. I mean, while virtually we have done a lot, so it's a good experience to have that again back. So today we will be basically talking to the audience on basically advising them on Industry 4.0, the talk about the challenges that the companies are facing, and then share our perspective about what are the advice for them, what are the things that can really be tried out, especially at this time. Right? So maybe before we start getting into the specific questions, let's maybe hear it from you about your focus areas in your organizations. What are the initiatives that you have been running, and maybe your focus areas? Right? So maybe we'll start with you, Mr. Manoj.
Yeah, good evening to all, gentlemen. So, good evening to all. See, basically, our manufacturing industries started the digitization and more focused, I will say, digitization immediately after the pandemic, when the need of technology arrives in day-to-day operations. And we started with the first and foremost importance of the human safety. The putting up the various cameras, monitoring the people movement, ensuring that they are not gathered together, and maintaining the social distances. So this journey started during the lockdown somewhere in March 2020, when actually the lockdown happens, and there was a need of revisiting all our manufacturing processes to ensure that there is a proper social distancing during the working hours. So that was the need basically, and that's how the artificial intelligence and AI intervention happened in the manufacturing industry. So as you all know, manufacturing industries are people-driven industry. Basically, we have in 6 manufacturing locations, we have around 5,000 people working together. And due to the space constraints and the huge parts making, it was very, very difficult to have social distancing during the manufacturing operations and monitoring. Basically, monitoring of the people when you have 5,000 people working together and maintaining the social distance, the human psychology, the adaptation of the new normal was a big challenge. So that's how we started. So currently we have the people monitoring through artificial intelligence, where if person is deployed at a station, is it the right person to ensure the quality of work? Is he on the workstation at time when it is required? Is he having the adequate breaks? Is having the productivity norms meeting? Then we have implemented the solutions for the vision camera inductions for ensuring the adequacy of the quality which is agreed with the customer and customer. Then we have the solutions for monitoring the process parameters, monitoring the controls on the processes, and ensuring that the processes are within the control. It is not going out of the control. Then we have recently introduced digitization for the predictive maintenance, which is including the monitoring of temperatures and vibrations of the various equipments, which can help in prediction of the condition of the machine. So these are various areas where we have used AI and digitization of the in the last 2 years process.
Great. That's really a lot. I mean, what has been done in the last 2 years only. So thank you. Yeah, Mr. Tarun.
Yeah, hi. Good evening, all. So yeah, for us also, right, as mentioned by Mr. Manoj, right. So most of the organization realized, right, the power of technology only during COVID period. So before COVID, actually, right, CIOs were the one who were pushing the organization for digitization and means intervention of technology in various areas. But however, actually means post this COVID era, right? So means there's a lot of pull from the business side. So means now business is demanding, right? How can we give access to the users? And I'm sure that actually those organizations who were technologically enabled, as mentioned by Amit also, right, during the COVID, they definitely leveraged the technologies. They could quickly put their people basically working from this thing. Even manufacturing was happening right in the plants, but still people were able to work from the office, from their homes, so that they can basically monitor, and they can basically guide their teams and prepare the kind of data which needs to be prepared for the organization, so that they can work remotely, right? Even accounts department was working remotely, IT department was running remotely, HR department was running remotely. So most of the departments, right, they were running remotely. And definitely, basically, there's a lot of pull from the business side now. Now, basically, they are pushing us, right, to get more use cases like this, so that we can help them to basically quickly enable a technology enabled organization. And that is where basically I joined Bagh Bakri group, I believe almost 9 months back. And I joined this organization for this agenda only, because they were looking for someone who can drive this agenda for them. And I have done this in past for various other organizations. So I'm good to be here, and thank you very much for inviting us for this session and sharing our insights, right?
Well, it's pleasure. So seems like CIOs are the super busy now.
Yeah.
I'm sure your wives will be complaining.
No, I accept that the statement given by Tarunji is that our CIO was pushing us to use digital platforms for the various meetings, as we have the presence across India. And we, the leaders, were saying, अरे यार physically meeting नहीं है तो कोई meeting ही नहीं हो सकती. What are you talking digital platform meeting? And believe us, last 2 years, no personal meeting, no physical meeting, it is all digital platform meetings we are conducting. All presentations are being done digitally. So really, this is something which the leadership has to take up, that yes, this is possible and this is going to give us the economics in the manufacturing industry.
Yeah, Manochi.
Hello. Yeah, after COVID, one best example of digitalization is to transfer the money through net banking, use of Paytm, where everybody was fear or apprehension to touch the paper. So this is the one example of digitalization. So how we are managing on day to day, and now this has come in our practice. Any payment which we want to make, hardly we people are using the hard cash. We are using the Paytm, net banking. So this is the one of best example of digitalization. Thank you.
Thanks. So let's start with some of the specific areas where that we wanted to talk about. So Mr. Tarun, I'll start with you first. I think we all know that, and we all in some way talked about also, COVID has introduced a lot more new challenges in front of us and for you all, for the businesses. Now, what kind of an areas you are seeing that, or the challenges you are seeing that has really become very critical for the manufacturing organizations in the last 2 months, which is actually leading to the transformation of the whole organization? So.
See, challenges are many, to be honest, right? So, and every day we are working on certain new use cases within the organization. But however, I believe whatever changes we work on, right? So end result is very important, right? That why should be very clear, right, within the organization, leadership, and the teams, those who are working with us actually. So most of the times we want to digitize, but that why is not very clear, that what outcome we are expecting out of certain things. And the second thing is basically mindset is the second thing I believe is very important, right? Lot of organizations basically means though leadership wants to change, but however people down the line, they still believe that this is going to be something which is not workable, right? And that is where that change management needs to be driven, and that should be driven top to bottom, within the organization, and I believe that there are several use cases like in the manufacturing, like as mentioned by Manoj also, right? Means facial recognition is one of the thing actually, right? And temperature monitoring without this touching or this thing sensing. And there are means several use cases like I have done a lot of POCs myself. But still they are up to a POC level. They have not been implemented. Like safety is one of the thing. Not only basically the safety, basically to understand that I should say from the temperature monitoring or gathering or something. There are several other things like I've worked with basically food organizations where actually you need to ensure that there is no remote thing which is getting inserted into this thing. So instead of visual inspection, we need to have some sort of automated inspections in place. And similarly, actually, we have to see that in case we don't want to allow mobile phones, in case we want users to follow certain safety protocols. So all those KPIs can be defined. And then we can ensure that using the AI, ML, artificial intelligence and machine learning, we should be able to bring a lot of automation, and rather than working in a reactive manner, we can work in proactive manner so that we can avoid basically a kind of situations within the organizations.
Okay, great, thank you. Manochi, like next question I have for you is, we are talking about the connected operations, right? So everything is getting connected. There is nothing like in a department we are working in an isolation. For example, I'll say supply chain or the manufacturing. Both have to now. It's a time where everyone needs to work hand in hand, right? So, like if the companies needs to build their digital roadmap or a strategy, what would be your advice to them on how they should go about in planning their digital initiatives? While I think I covered a broad approach about at a very broad level about the process point of view, but specific, like if from your experience, like the way it has gone in the JBM or you would have seen in the other organization, what would be your advice for building a strategy for a company for their digitization?
See, basically, the roadmap needs to be developed with respect to the challenge what industry is facing. The individual manufacturing industry have different challenges. One of the common challenge with all the manufacturing industry is the cost pressure. Second biggest challenge with the manufacturing industry is going through is the availability of skilled manpower. So these two challenges are common, but all manufacturing industries, irrespective of their product range, have different challenges, and the leadership needs to get involved into the problem identification and evaluating the whole processes and finding out the pain points. Like I give you the example that while handling 5,000 different people in 6-7 different locations, availability, then ensuring the safety of people and safety of organization was the biggest challenge when we started this journey. So the safety of people, when we say that it is ensuring that no infected person entered inside the complex and spread the infection to the people who are working around him, was the biggest challenge. So we identified the various pain points, and the biggest pain point of the cost as well as the availability of skill at a defined location. So we used the digitization and AI intervention to solve these problems, that the facial recognition, then deployment at the defined equipment. So we linked the employee code with the equipment so that he cannot go to any other equipment to work and spend time. Then the cost, to improve productivity, we used the AI intervention for linking his availability on the machine. He cannot go here and there and see that the time is wasted and the machine is ideal. So high capital intensive units have this challenge of ensuring that the equipment is run 24/7. And then we used the predictive maintenance involvement into this. So my suggestion to the manufacturing industries goes that they have to find out what is their pain point and where is the problem. And believe me, I was also not of the mindset that this can give us a solution, but AI intervention and digitization can solve all the manufacturing issues, at least up to a certain level, and finally the decision has to be taken by the engineers who are on the shop floor. But this digitization helps in proactively availability of the information, where timely action can be taken and accurate action can be taken on the issues. No AI or digitization can solve the manufacturing issues which are actually on the shop floor, but yes, it can bring everything on the surface, and proactively we can act on those to improve our efficiencies.
I think getting to know what is causing the problem itself is a big thing. And then at least you know what to solve. And that's where I think these technologies are helping leaders in giving us insights on the the areas which are actually needs to be worked upon. So, great. Okay, so let's talk about bit of an current environment again. So, Mr. Agarwal, so we are in a VUCA world, correct? I don't think anyone would have seen more uncertainty than we are, correct? We were all thinking everything is, and we are still assuming everything is safe, but we have started getting another variant, right? So uncertainty is, will remain, seems like, and I think then one of the asks which is coming is for every manufacturing company is to be ready to face uncertainty, because these uncertainties are not going to go away, which means, I mean, we have to make our organizations flexible and resilient, right? So basically, so that we are able to withstand those uncertainties. Would be great to get your thoughts on how do we prepare for these uncertainties? What are the things that we should proactively do that can help us be better in the future or withstand these storms?
First, we need to understand what is VUCA. Because unless until we do not know VUCA, then immediately answer is not possible. So first I would like to tell what is VUCA. VUCA means these are 4 words: volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. And these are very essential for anybody's life, for any industry, or for any sector. So these all 4 words prepare us how to make the contingency plan for future. For example, volatility means world is changing constantly, and nobody can predict what will happen today, tomorrow, and day after tomorrow, because design are changing, new innovations are coming, strategic decisions are coming. So all industry and sector are facing with volatility. So these are the one how to cope up this. So I will tell you later on, but the volatility is clear. There is a fluctuation and that cannot be avoided, but we should be prepared for future. Now come uncertainty. This is also unexpected. What can happen, nobody knows. Recently you have heard that there was shortage of chips, semiconductor. There was huge shortage, and all automobile industry were working at the 50% of capacity, being a 100% infrastructure. There was huge loss of sale and profit also. But there was no option because that was uncertain condition. But now situation by grace of God is improving day by day. So this uncertainty, we should be prepared for uncertain situation. Now come the complexity. Complexity again, if we talk about the 3 decades back. 3 decades back, 1 decade was, benchmarking for the another decade. So technology are changing very rapidly. So 1, 2 or points complex together comes in the complex. And if we do not find out the solution, we cannot go in the root cause, what is the solution, that it becomes a complex. Then comes the ambiguity. Why ambiguity develops? Ambiguity develops when lack of awareness and lack of clarity of the subject. So these are the 4 VUCA. We are living in the VUCA environment, and VUCA cannot be avoided. We cannot bypass VUCA, but we should be prepared for future as a contingency plan, plan A, plan B, so that whenever we face such type of problem, immediately we should have a plan B. Now comes the solution. So in on automobile industry, in any sector, first of all, we should have the vision, clear vision, short-term vision, and what is the medium vision. That is very important. Second point comes agile and adaptability. How to make the agile? For example, during lockdown, mostly automobile industry were not doing well. Then new industry came for making the mask, making the oxygen cylinder, making the protective equipments. So this is one type of opportunity. And we can say this was the positivity in the negativity. Mostly business was dumb, but these are the new business. So we should be prepared for that. Secondly, decision making. In this time, we should not be disheartened. This happens with every industry, but we have to face this to make small targets so that we can revive the situation. Then again come the communication with the team should be very clear. They should be highly motivated. So during this time, they should be motivated. They can come the good ideas. We can enhancing the training at that time. So the business is low, then enhancing the training so that once volume is come, then everybody will be doing perfectly. So these are the areas where a clear vision. Secondly, agility and adaptability. This is clear communication, strong decision. These are the parameters where we can attack on buka. Buka cannot be avoided in life. This is we should be prepared as a contingency. Thank you.
Great, thank you. So I think the whole way to manage is what I get from is the scenario planning, correct? The making it as a plan B and a plan C. So that's where I think the technology also helps, because it gives us a lot of these data points that we can use in our planning cycle. Because I'm seeing a lot of those now, supply chain managers and the manufacturing leaders are working together, because a lot of this uncertainty comes, say, either from a customer demand or maybe from the raw material side, correct? And that's where having those inputs, giving timely to the kind of an manufacturing leaders for their production planning, because now even the production planning is also becoming an iterative with a kind of coming with the scenario planning. So that's where these technologies are helping to bring all the data points together and giving it to the manufacturing leaders. Yeah, thank you. So I'm just looking at my watch also, so maybe I will have time for just 2 more questions. So I think one question definitely I would like to ask is, and maybe Mr. Tarun, if I would ask to you, and this is coming again based on the our interactions that that we have seen with the manufacturing companies. Like, as I said, I mean, I've been to a lot of plants in the last few months, and one thing I'm seeing is at least half of the plants, and especially in the MSME sector, have moved to the ERP, correct? So a lot of these data are getting entered in the systems. So we are definitely, I think, moving from a paper to a digital records. So there is a data which is available. But one thing I'm seeing is these data points are still not being used to generate the insight. So, I mean, one example, maybe let me say is, I think every company is doing the quality inspection at a different stage, right? Or maybe say raw material comes up and the quality inspection happens. And those quality parameters are entered in these systems. So we have tons of those kind of data which is available, but it is not getting used. So what would be your thoughts and maybe suggestions for the companies on how do we make best use of this data, and then what could be the benefits that can come out from these data, from analyzing these data points?
So first of all, I like to say that whatever data we are getting, right, so we should get in a very structured format. And moreover, I am seeing that, like, in our organization we are using ERP, right? So even though it is basically homegrown ERP, and we are planning to change it to some standard solution as such. But however, what I have seen that end-to-end points are not connected with an ERP also, right? We are collecting data, but there's, like, you took example of the quality inspection, right? So we had similar use case within the organization, wherein means we were doing the quality inspections, and then though we were doing that quality inspection within the system, right? But however, there were certain inputs which were to be collected, right, at the different sets, and there we were not collecting this thing, and then that paper used to move to the different location, and then actually, right, someone was accepting those things, and then basically giving confirmation, okay, this much of material is accepted, this much is rejected, or whatever. And then basically what we did actually, we simply enabled basically upload of data functionality right at that point itself, so that someone can scan, provided a scanner, so that someone can scan and basically upload the data, so that there is no basically paper movement right from one place to another place like that. But however, this is just one of the examples, but however there are several areas right where we are collecting the data, like what production plan team needs to do, right? So we have to see that what kind of forecast we can do in this uncertain period for the organization, because forecasting is a very big challenge right now. We cannot do the right forecast, and to be honest, believe me, in my organization, at least for the 5-6 times right, we have basically done some sort of, there's 6 versions of forecast which we have already released this thing, right? So means this kind of uncertainty will always remain, but however we have to see that what kind of SKUs which are fast moving SKUs, so we have to prepare some sort of stock out of that. So, and all these things is only possible right when we collect the data and analyze the data, right? Unless we analyze the data, we will not be able to provide the right insight to the organization. But however, collecting data is the first step, and then means I believe most of the organization, those who have implemented SAP or any other ERP, right? So they are the stage 1, I should say. The stage 2 is basically to put the data in structured format. And the thing is that the very important thing is that whatever data you are providing, that should be basically KPI driven, right? Unless that data is KPI driven and that is giving some insight to you, right? That is of no use. That is where basically we introduce traffic light reporting within the dashboards itself, right? Wherein means in case something is red, it immediately gets into our attention that okay, there is something wrong which needs to be analyzed further, and we should take some action immediate on this thing. There are certain things which are going good, which have been shown as green, and there are certain things which need some sort of intervention, and means we have shown those KPIs as yellow, like that. So I should say that whatever you are doing, right, so unless your data is KPI driven, right, it is not going to give you any insights on that. So we need to first of all find out the KPIs of each and every department, collect the data, and then analyze it also, right?
Absolutely, very kind of a great point that you have made. So I think that's where my humble request to all the user companies is, this data what you have is very precious. It's like your diamond that's sitting in your organization which is not getting used. So use this data to kind of take a decision which will be of help to your organization. And then there are a lot of tools which are already available, which will basically enable you to decision making from this data.
So I would like to add one more point.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I would. And in automobile industry, maximum companies are working through SAP. And SAP, whenever any material comes at the gate, that gate entry is done with the T code of 103. Then when the same material goes in the store department, then store department verifies that material and make the inventory for making the payments through 105. Now what happens? We have entered the material, suppose 100 pieces came. Then 100 pieces booked in the SAP, 100 pieces we have received. So end of the month, what we do, we take the inventory physical versus SAP. How much inventory SAP has entered actually, and how much inventory we have used, and what is the difference. If this difference is 0, it means data is correct. So this is very important, very essential. For SAP versus physical inventory is good. It means we are following the data correctly. Thank you.
Oh, great, thank you. Okay, so I'll just maybe quickly do one last question, and I actually wanted to cover on the specific use cases also, and at least 3-4 use cases. But again, I mean, with the time that we have here left with, one use case I definitely would like to talk about is on the quality inspection side, and we talked about quality in a previous question also. So basically, at least in all the engineering organization or a discrete manufacturing organizations, correct? The quality inspection is done visually at every steps. I think that is there, which is there, I think applicable to everyone who's sitting out here. So my question to Mr. Manoj Mutkal is, how do we use technology basically to enable better quality inspection? See, I'm not saying usage of technology to remove people and then have technology do all the inspection, but definitely the computer vision solutions that which are available now, camera-based quality inspection systems, they are actually supporting the human and working, you can say, hand in hand to improve the overall quality checks within the organization, because human gets tired after, say, in the evening, right? Technology system will not get tired, so the level of a quality inspection will remain consistent. So, and I think this is the use case which is valid for every manufacturing company, I think, who would be sitting here. So let's maybe talk about this and your thoughts on usage of computer vision solution, AI based computer vision solutions on the quality inspection.
Amitji, I will share this thoughts with example. I started this thought process somewhere in 2008, that why the inspection cannot be done by the cameras, why a human is required to do inspection. And every manufacturing industry invariably have the inspection process inbuilt into the manufacturing process. And as I told you that currently manufacturing industries are going through a tremendous pressure of cost control, and every organization is monitoring the cost of poor quality, but very few are monitoring the cost of quality. If we see that a large number of human intervention is, human people are working for the inspection at the various stations, and approximately 90% of the checkpoints are visual. So if you see, as Mr. Amit has expressed, that in the evening when a person is tired and in the morning when he comes fresh, the inspection level varies. So at certain level there is a manufacturer risk, at certain level there is a buyer risk. The okay part can be made rejected, and the rejected part can be made okay. So to balance this risk and ensure that the consistency in the inspection process and ensuring that the quality levels are same across the manufacturing across 24/7, this artificial intelligence and camera intervention is required. And again, we have inducted various cameras at various levels to prevent the defect generation, to check the defects in auto component. We rarely, now most of the improvement processes are happening in preventing the defect generation rather than detecting the defect at certain level by inducting the camera. So we have placed many cameras, almost 600 cameras in different locations, to ensure that the defect is not produced, rather than having a check and then ensuring that it is not shipped to the customer. But prevention based camera intervention we have used, and we are in process of developing the solutions for the final inspection of our product, which ensures that there is no outflow of the defective part. So in my opinion, eliminating the variation with respect to the human intervention, these solutions are the solutions which is required for the industry at this stage. And as there are many startups, so I expect many startups to come up in this area where the camera based inspection system can be introduced in almost all kind of product industries. It is not only automotive, it is in almost all kind of product industries.
Great, thank you. And thank you, gentlemen, for sharing your valuable inputs with the audience today. I'm definitely sure it will give a lot of food for thought to everyone on what really can be done. I think everyone is trying their best to make things possible, and at this stage, talking about these specific examples, I'm sure, I mean, will give the audience ideas about how they can kind of build their plan or kind of modify their existing plans that they are working upon to gain the benefits. So we really look forward to seeing more and more adoption of the technology in the industry, and more than happy to help in any way if someone needs help. So thank you. I appreciate you really taking out time. Mr. Mutkal, you're traveling from Delhi, and speaking to the audience here. Mr. Agarwal, you're traveling from Mehsana, and Mr. Tarun, you're giving your time. Really appreciate. Thank you. Thank you. And thank you to the audience for patiently listening.